I should never have offered to drive him home, not with the way I felt about him, not with the way I had always felt about him. Neil sat beside me in the quiet hum of the car, his profile bathed in the glow of passing streetlights. He wasn't drunk, just a little looser, a little more unguarded than usual. I had known him since he was a boy, but tonight, he wasn't a boy. He was a man, a dangerously handsome doctor, sitting beside me in the intimate silence of my car. My hands gripped the wheel, knuckles whitening as I tried to steady my breath. His cologne, laced with whiskey and something purely him, wrapped around me. I could still hear the laughter from Carol, my best friend, ringing in my ears at her party, the way his fiancée clung to his arm, the way she kissed his cheek, so oblivious to the fire simmering beneath my skin. I had no right to feel this way. And yet, I did. We arrived at the doctor's residence. The air outside was cool, thick with the quiet of the early morning. Neil unbuckled his seatbelt, turning to me with a tired smile. "Thanks for the ride, Ruth." I should have nodded, let him go, driven home to my husband, the man who had given me everything. Instead, I heard myself say, "I've heard so much about these on-call rooms." My voice was low, almost teasing. "I wonder if they're as scandalous as people say." Neil smirked, amused, perhaps a little intrigued. "Want to see for yourself?" I exhaled slowly, my heart hammering. "I wouldn't mind a coffee before I drive home." He studied me for a second longer, then pushed open the door. "Come on then." The room was small, sterile, and smelled faintly of antiseptic. A single bed, a desk, a chair. Neil switched on the kettle. I leaned against the doorframe, my pulse drumming in my ears. "You really shouldn't be here," he murmured, but there was no conviction in his voice. I stepped inside, closing the door behind me. A line had been drawn, and now I had crossed it. The air between us thickened. He turned slowly, leaning back against the counter, his arms folding over his chest. His eyes darkened as they held mine. Neither of us moved, neither of us spoke. We didn't need words. Desire pulled us together, slow, deliberate. The moment his hands found my waist, a sharp breath left me. I felt him, solid, warm, wanting. And then his mouth was on mine. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't careful, it was need. Undeniable, insatiable, something that had always simmered beneath the surface, waiting for this exact moment. Clothes slipped away. Skin met skin. It was reckless, desperate, raw. He lifted me onto the bed, his lips tracing a burning path down my throat. My hands clutched at him, his shoulders, his back, dragging him closer. For years I had imagined this, but nothing. Not the stolen glances, not the fleeting touches, not the quiet ache of longing could have prepared me for this. This fire, this madness, this release. And when it was over, when our breath slowed and reality bled back in, neither of us spoke. We lay in silence, the sheets tangled around us, our bodies still humming from the aftermath. No guilt, no regrets, just the lingering heat of something that should never have happened but felt inevitable. I sat up first, reaching for my clothes. Neil watched me, silent, unreadable. I turned to him as I buttoned my blouse, smoothing down my hair. Then, in the quiet of the room, I said the only thing that needed to be said. "Text me only when you're on call." His gaze held mine, something flickering behind his eyes. Then, slowly, he nodded. I walked to the door, my heels clicking softly against the tile. As I stepped out into the cool night air, I exhaled deeply, feeling alive in a way I hadn't in years. There would be no explanations, no promises, no guilt, just the stolen moments when the night swallowed us whole. And I was perfectly fine with that.